Hey, welcome back. It's Jason Walter here. Today, I want to share the latest housing market trends in some pandemic hotspots. So those areas are going to be Boise, Idaho, Denver, Colorado, Tampa, Florida, as well as Sacramento, California in today's video. And coincidentally, these are the areas that have the highest share of price reductions across the country. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive right into the video here. I want to share the latest trends we're seeing right now because there's some pretty eye-opening stats here that I want to share with you guys today. So let's first talk about Boise, Idaho. So Boise, Idaho, let's take a look at new listings. And by the way, in today's video, I'm going to look at new listings, pending home sales, active listing inventory or housing supply, as well as price reductions, and of course, home prices as well. So let's first talk about new listings in Boise. And take a look at this because this is drastically different compared to the national averages. I always say that every housing market's different. So I'd like to make these videos to share how some areas are drastically different than the national averages or the national medians. So new listings in Boise are up 55% compared to 1 year ago, which is drastically different compared to the national averages. So the national averages right now for new listings is down about 15% compared to the same time period in 2021. So Boise is seeing just the opposite of that and basically moving straight up here because new listings are up 55% from 1 year ago. And interesting enough, back in, let's just call it June of this year, the number of new listings was basically on par with 2021. By the way, orange is in 2021, the blue line's 2019, and the black line, of course, 2022. So we basically had the same number of new listings in Boise for the 4 weeks ending June 26 compared to the same time period in 2021. It took a big dip here in July, but ever since then, skyrocketing to levels far above 2019 as well as 2021. So that's new listings when a home seller lists their home for sale. But let's look at active listings, which of course is housing supply. Active listings, look at that. Wow, that's crazy. So at the beginning of the year, we were down 12.98%. But back in, let's just look at February of this year, down 42% compared to the same time period 1 year ago, which is pretty insane. And now they're actually up 2.2% from the same time period last year. So drastically different compared to you basically February and March of this year, where new listings were basically down over 40%. So drastically different right now. And new listings have basically been skyrocketing ever since April this year in Boise. So I'm guessing we're going to see a huge decrease in pending home sales over the past several months here. And by the way, I have not looked at the latest data here. Oh, that's right. So Boise, Idaho, for whatever reason, they don't provide pending home sales in Idaho, but they do provide listing updates for pending home sales. So when a home seller changes their house from active or for sale to pending home sale status, in other words, they accept an offer from a home buyer. So take a look at this. So pending home sales have decreased 33.5% from the same time period in 2021. So a big decrease in pending home sales in Boise, Idaho, which is probably one of the main reasons why they saw this huge uptick in active listings. And obviously the other main contributor to this increase of active listings, of course, is because they're seeing this huge uptick in new listings as well, which is causing the total number of houses for sale to increase, of course. So because pending home sales have been decreasing greatly, they're seeing a huge uptick of new listings and active listing inventory. I'm guessing price reductions are going to be through the roof. So price reductions in Boise are basically at 17%. For whatever reason, you have to multiply this by 4 in order to get the monthly figure here. So multiply this by 4 is 68%. And just to corroborate that number with you guys, let's go to altosresearch.com. So in Boise right now, the share price drops is at 66%. So basically on par with my calculation there at 68%. Again, looking at different timelines though, Altos Research looks at 7-day averages. That 66% figure or share is a share over the last 7 days. But in contrast though, Redfin looks at the averages over the past 4 weeks. In any case, the averages right now for price reductions is around 70% right now, which is pretty insane. And going back about 1 year ago, the share was approximately 8.6%. So in 1 year, it went from 8.6% all the way up now to 17%. And you can see that here when looking at altosresearch.com, the share price drops right now, again, the 7-day average is basically 66%. 1 year ago though, it was about 42%. But more importantly though, have a look at this. So from March 4th of this year, the share price drops went up from 15.7% all the way up to 65.86%. So let's have a look at home prices in Boise, Idaho, and then we'll go over what we're seeing in Denver, Colorado, and then Tampa, Florida, and then Sacramento. So the median sold price in Boise, take a look at this. The median sold price right now is $506,000, only a 3% increase compared to 1 year ago. Compare this basically to May of this year, we've had an 18% gain year over year. So drastically different compared to the past few months here. But have a look at this because this is absolutely insane. At the same time period last year in 2021, compare the same time period in 2020, the median sold price increased 37% in one single year. The historical averages on a national level should be in the range of 3 to 6% and not 37% in one single year. Absolutely insane. In 2021, was an absolutely crazy housing market here. Look at January 1st, increasing by 25%. And basically every single month, every single week here, prices increase greatly, over 30%. Look at that. Basically in June, home prices increasing 42% in one single year, which is absolutely insane. So going back to 2022 though, I want to make a kind of like a summary here regarding home prices. Home prices peaked in May, by the end of May. So home prices were about $550,000 for the 4 weeks ending May 29th of this year, an 18% increase from 1 year ago. So $550,000, now it is $506,000. So the median sold price decreased by about $45,000 ever since May of this year, which is obviously good news if you're looking to buy a house in Boise, Idaho. But take a look at this, because the median sold price, $506,000, going back to 2019 at this time, it was only $310,000. Okay, let's have a look at another pandemic hotspot, which of course would be Denver, Colorado, because there's some very big differences compared to Boise, Idaho, for example. So remember, Boise had an increase of new listings, a big increase of new listings. Denver, Colorado, basically moved in the opposite direction. So Denver, Colorado, new listings decreased by 16% from 1 year ago. In stark contrast, look over the past couple of months here, because new listings basically started to peel away from 2021. Again, the orange line's 2021. The number of new listings in Denver has basically started to peel back from 2021 back in May and April of this year. So new listings are declining. Let's have a look at active listings or housing supply in Denver, Colorado. So wow, take a look at that. Active listings have increased almost 36% compared to a year ago in Denver, Colorado. So they have 353,000 houses for sale right now. Compare that to 2021 at this time, they had just over 6,000 houses for sale. So they have far less houses for sale compared to 2019 though, because in 2019, they had 11,000 houses for sale. Now they only have 8,000 houses for sale, or 8,300 houses for sale. Let's look at pending home sales, because I'm guessing because new listings were coming down, active listings are coming up. I'm guessing that pendings are decreasing. Let's have a look at that. I'm just guessing here. So yeah, pending home sales decrease. Oh, look at that. Wow, 28% decrease from last year, which is pretty astonishing, which is drastically different compared to the 4 weeks ending May 22nd, when we basically had the same number of pending home sales compared to 2021. Now we're down 28% from a year ago, which is pretty unusual here. So this is pretty eye-opening, because they're seeing a 28% decrease of contracts being signed, despite the fact we're seeing far more houses listed for sale, or housing supply. Housing supply increasing by 36% compared to 1 year ago. So clearly home buying demand is decreasing in Denver, because we have far more houses listed for sale, but contracts being signed are far less. So I'm guessing, of course, that the share of price drops has been skyrocketing as well. Let's have a look at that. Wow, look at that. So the share of price drops at 9.3%. Multiply that by 4 is 37%. So the share of price drops right now is basically at 37%. But let's look at altosresearch.com, because right now the share of price drops for the 7 days ending August 26th is at 52%. So price drops right now, according to altosresearch.com, at 52%. And by the way, when you compare this to previous years, again, by week 9.3%, look at that. 2019 and also 2021, the share price drops was around 3.5%. All right, so changing gears slightly, let's talk about home prices in Denver, Colorado. So the median sold price right now is at $585,000, a 10% increase from 1 year ago. Look at back in 2021 though. Look at that. Home prices increased 17%. So at this time in 2019 as well, the median sold price was $422,000. Now it's $585,000. All right, so that was Denver, Colorado. Let's have a look at Tampa, Florida, another pandemic hotspot. So new listings are actually down compared to 2021, but only down by 3.8%. I mean, again, drastically different compared to Boise, Idaho, and Denver regarding new listings. But new listings have basically been decreasing ever since June of this year. So new listings in Tampa are down about 3.8%. Let's have a look at active listings though. Active listings, wow, look at that. So active listings are almost up 50% from the same time period 1 year ago, about 11,000 houses for sale. Compare that to 2021. At that time, we had a 29% decrease a year over year at 7,900 houses for sale. Again, we have far less houses for sale in Tampa, Florida compared to 2019. Because in 2019, look at that, 16,000 houses for sale, and now it's only basically 12,000 houses for sale. Let's look at pending home sales, because I'm guessing because we're seeing this huge uptick of active listings, yet new listings are going down. Pending home sales must be crashing, I'm guessing. Not crashing it necessarily, but still down 20% from 2021. But basically have been flatlined over the past couple of months now. Ever since basically the 4 weeks ending June 26, basically have the same number of pending home sales from the previous year. But still, contracts signed are down 20%, which is clearly telling me that home buying demand is decreasing greatly, because if they have 20% less contracts being signed, despite the fact we have basically 50% more houses for sale, that's telling me that home buying demand is decreasing greatly, and therefore price reductions should be through the roof as well. So price drops right now at 13.6%. Let's look at Altos Research for Tampa, Florida. Tampa, Florida right now, the share of price drops at 51% right now. So very much elevated along with these other cities we're going over in today's video here. But interesting enough, over the past couple of weeks here, this trend line of active listings with price reductions has basically been going down. So the share right now at 7.2%, but going back 2 weeks, the share was 7.7%. But let's have a look at 2021 and 2019 as well, because as you can see, basically going straight up ever since April this year. So 7.2% right now by week. Going back to 2021 this time, it was 6.8%. So basically the share of price reductions has basically doubled in 1 year in Tampa, Florida. So we're seeing a pending home sales decrease, we're seeing a huge uptick of active listings, and also price reductions are through the roof. So I'm guessing home prices in Tampa, Florida have been decreasing. Let's look at median sold prices. So the median sold price, wow, look at that, still up 23% from 1 year ago, which is pretty amazing, but has been decreasing ever since this time frame right here, which is basically June. So it has been decreasing just a little bit. 393,000 was the peak. Now they're basically at 384,000. So only a decrease of about $9,000, and home prices still up 23% from 1 year ago. Okay, let's talk about Sacramento, California, the latest housing market trends we're seeing right now. Again, this is where I live and work as a real estate agent. So new listings are actually down 21% from the same time period in 2021, and has basically been decreasing from 2021 ever since May of this year. So down greatly, about 21% from 1 year ago, whereas in 2021 and 2019, we basically had the same number of new listings, but new listings are down greatly. Let's look at active listings, because I know active listings have been increasing greatly. Look at that, up 35.84%. So we have far more houses listed for sale in Sacramento compared to 2021, whereas back in April this year, we basically had the same number of houses for sale. So this number of houses for sale has basically been skyrocketing due to a decrease of contracts being signed by home buyers due to a lack of home buying demand. So active listings are up 36% year over year. Let's look at pending home sales. Again, a contract being signed between a home buyer and home seller. Look at this. Pending home sales are down 34.71%. So pendings have decreased greatly from 1 year ago, and basically have been peeling away from 2021 ever since basically March of this year. But again, interesting to see here that pending home sales has basically been flat ever since the 4 weeks ending July 10th of this year. So potentially home buying demand is basically stabilizing here over the past several weeks. But again, a short-term trend. We'll have to see this trend continues here. Let's look at price drops though in Sacramento. Price drops right now at 12.4%, very much elevated compared to previous years. In previous years, we're basically around 7% and 6.5% in 2021 at this time. And also in altosresearch.com for Sacramento, the share price drops right now, the 7-day average is at 52%. So price drops are basically through the roof in Sacramento, and this is due to a pullback in home buying demand, and of course, active listing inventory has been increasing as well. Let's look at home sold prices though. So the median sold price in Sacramento is basically at $580,000, still a 5% increase from 2021, but basically going down ever since May of this year. And this is right around the time where home prices peaked at $612,000. And again, the median sold price at $580,000, a 5% gain. Have a look at this because in 2021 at this time, look at that. Home prices increased 19% year over year. So one thing I want to mention regarding the Sacramento housing market here is that the median sold price is at $580,000. This is down about $30,000 from the high that was set back in June of this year. So we're down about $30,000 from the median sold price compared to the peak of this year. But going back to 2019, again, $580,000 right now. Going back to the same time period in 2019, the median sold price was only $417,000. So obviously, if you're a home buyer, it's a step in the right direction that home prices have started to decrease over the past couple of months here. But when you look at the big picture here, the median sold price back in 2019 was only $417,000, and now it's basically $580,000. One thing I definitely want to mention though is that it's definitely an easier market right now for home buyers. We have far more houses to choose from. We don't have as many bidding wars. We don't have as many competing offers that are absolutely crazy, waiving all contingencies, for example. So in that regard, it's definitely a advantage home buyers. But obviously, as you can see, home prices still remain very much elevated though. And with that said, please comment below with your biggest takeaways from today's video. Also, if you got any value out of today's video whatsoever, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Hope you guys have an awesome day and look forward to seeing you in the next video.